91 kilos. So that means this armour weighs a grand total of 4 stone 5 pounds.
Olá pessoal, sejam bem-vindos ao meu canal. Meu nome é Natália, mas você pode me chamar de Nath. Eu adoro reagir e aprender sobre outros países, especialmente aqueles bem diferentes do meu em termos culturais e econômicos. Então, se você gosta desse tipo de conteúdo, fique à vontade para se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. Bom, nesse vídeo eu vou reagir a vestir uma armadura. É tão difícil quanto parece? Bom, então é isso, sem mais delongas, e vamos para a reação.
Hello, I'm at the Royal Armouries in Leeds, and they let me run around in a suit of armour. I am a bit stuck.
Meu Deus!
We're going to find out what it was like to actually wear one of these things, and maybe somewhere along the way we'll clear up some misconceptions about what it was like to be a knight.
My name is India. I am part of the live interpretation team here at the Royal Armouries in Leeds. It's our job to bring shows to our visitors who are coming to explore the collection, and today we're going to get you into some armour. The armour we're putting you in is a German armour, actually based very closely off one in our very own collection. It's a 15th century German Gothic armour, but you're very lucky, it is a beautiful armour. Me personally, I've been part of this team for 3 years. Here at the Royal Armouries, what we do talks, tours, acted demonstrations, and as well we do combat demonstrations for our members of the public here.
A suit of armour isn't one big iron morph suit. It's made out of lots of different bits, and all these bits have different names. So you've got the arming jacket, greaves for your shins, polines for your knees, cuisse for your thighs, a coif for your head, a hauberk, which is the fancy word for a mail shirt, your breastplate, your backplate, your upper and lower cannons for your arms, pauldrons for your shoulders, a helm for your head, and finally gauntlets, which are gloves that make it really hard to work your camera with. So this suit is based on one from the 15th century, but armour changes a lot over the medieval period. If you're in the 1100s, if you're in like Bayeux tapestry times, you might just have a chainmail and the helmet. And over the centuries, you add more pieces to cover up all your soft bits until you've got the whole suit. So, how much does all this stuff weigh? In my opinion, if you're a curator in a museum and you've got this stuff on display, you should like legally have to put the weight on the little label, because it is the first and sometimes only thing people ask about it. So,
meu Deus, gente! Como assim? Tipo, eu sempre pensei que era somente uma armadura, né? Mas pelo que é dito aqui, nesse caso, né? Nessa armadura específica, tipo, é usado vários. E pelo que eu entendi, as armaduras vão até mudando ao longo dos séculos. Eu fico doida com isso, porque vem tantas perguntas na minha cabeça, tipo, não era muito quente? E como que faz pra ir no banheiro? Tipo, é muito, muito doido. É uma coisa que parece muito pesada.
We're going to test that out today. I have brought a pair of scales with me, and we're going to find out. Here we go. So, all right, I am exactly 10 stone without the armour, so that is 65 kilos without the armour. Let's see what it's like with. All right, we're going to try again, but this time with the armour. Uh, 91 kilos. So that means this armour weighs a grand total of 4 stone 5 pounds. That is 27 kilos or 61 pounds. So that's pretty heavy. Surely you can't move in this stuff, right? One of the most common misconceptions about a suit of armour like this is that you can't move in it. And it does look very stiff, and it definitely makes a lot of noise when you're moving. I actually did have a bit of trouble with mobility, but it wasn't because of the weight. The weight is spread out across your whole body, so it's a lot, but if I had to lift all this stuff in a bag, I probably couldn't even do it, whereas I can walk around in this stuff. What I found harder was the joints. If you wear a shirt that's too big for you, you can still bend your elbows, but because this stuff is made of metal, it has to fit you exactly. Because if the elbow of the suit is in a slightly different place to your elbow, that's tough. you can't move your elbow now. For me, my legs are just slightly shorter than the armour legs, and that extra height has to go somewhere, and it can't go up, so it had to go down. Every time I put my foot down, the edge of the shin piece was slamming into the bones on the top of my foot, and that made it way harder to walk than the weight did.
Mas ela tá lidando com isso muito bem. O que mais me surpreende é que realmente é um traje que, assim, é pensado exclusivamente para uma situação como essa, porque, embora seja difícil e pesado, tem toda essa questão das articulações, que são pensadas estrategicamente para isso. Mas é muito doido, porque é muito pesado. Eu me pergunto se não haveria outra forma de se proteger que não fosse algo tão pesado.
Okay.
Push yourself up like that if you can.
Cool.
That's my advice.
Sounds good.
Rather than trying to do this.
Alrighty, one knee. Oh, here we go.
Ai!
She's in. Whee! All right. I am a bit stuck. Hang on.
That's it. Yes. Go on, push. You can do it. Go on, yes.
Yeah!
Yes. Go on.
No. Hang on, one more.
India does this in 3 seconds.
I bet. I'm not very strong or agile. Hang on.
Go on, yes. Go on. Push.
Yeah.
Oh, meu Deus!
Let's try it a different way, a different method.
All right.
And now I'm going to give you a little bit of a helping hand. So you're going to push it's going to be for your...
Gente, observe que até a parte do joelho tem uma ondulação, né? Um relevo para encaixar o joelho. É muito bem pensado. Impressionante.
Yeah, like you would if you were pushing yourself up off your... Can you do it that way?
What? Put my feet under me
Yeah.
from here.
Maybe not. That's it.
It's spending forwards at the waist. That's about as far as I can go.
Okay. Get onto your... Yes! Go on. Breathe.
Oh, if I go down now, it's going to be further to go.
You've got it, I believe in you.
Yeah!
Meu Deus, isso devia ser
What
muito
surprised me the
difícil.
most is the limitations with the mobility. I'm being put into something that actually wasn't made to fit me. So I do have limitations that maybe Knights of the Day wouldn't necessarily have had. For example, in the armour I wear, I can't lift my arms, my hands, I don't have the dexterity because mine are mitten gauntlets. So I'm kind of a bit like a Lego man. The breast and back on mine, because it's slightly wider fitting for me, I can't close my hands together. So I can't give somebody a nice big hug. Yeah, I am kind of a bit like a Lego man. But you will have slightly different maneuverability. But the more you wear it, you just forget about it because you're focusing on the person that you're fighting. So you're thinking, right, I need to get around them and I need to move.
But if you look carefully, you'll see it's not a tin can. It's made up of loads of smaller plates with hinges everywhere to give you the most movement possible.
Gente, agora estou me perguntando aqui, será se na época cada armadura era feito personalizadamente? Tipo, a pessoa ia no lugar, né? O soldado ia no lugar onde fazia e era feito de acordo com as medidas da pessoa, do soldado, ou será se era um tipo para todos? Porque nitidamente ela fala, né, que a perna dela não encaixa direito na armadura. Então, isso me chamou a atenção.
The wealthiest knights and aristocrats are going to have armour that's custom made for them, so they won't have this problem. But there is also going to be a lot of second-hand armour swishing about for people a bit lower down the scale. So you might either have to
Ela
get a
acabou de
piece
tirar minha
altered,
dúvida.
just like you'd get a suit tailored to you, or, I don't know, maybe you'd even say, you know what, maybe I'll just leave off the shin pieces. Since armour is made of lots of individual pieces, you can take bits out and swap them around, to a certain extent.
If you did have armour that was made for you, you wouldn't have that problem because the way that the plates move and the way that they overlap could be adjusted so that you could touch your ear, touch your other ear, you would be able to. And funnily enough, when Andrew wears the suit that you're wearing, he has a
Então
lot
os
better
pobres
mobility,
podiam
even though
se
that
dar
wasn't
muito
made
mal.
for him.
You'll also be training in this stuff from a really young age, maybe as young as 7, to completely eliminate the disadvantage. You'll have a lot more strength and stamina than I do. You'll be much more used to wearing it. A really good party trick for a knight is to be able to leap onto your horse in full armour. And there was one knight called Boucicaut who could do a flip in his armour.
I sometimes hear the idea that knights got onto their horses using cranes because their armour was so heavy, which is just not true. Can you imagine like having to line up for a battle and having to build like 200 cranes for all your knights? It seems to be something that the Victorians made up because they thought it was funny. They didn't expect anyone to take it seriously.
And the horse is a crucial part of being a knight. The French word for knight is chevalier, literally horseman. So if you know you're going to be on horseback,
Veja
you
até os
might be willing to
cavalos, meu
sacrifice a
Deus.
little bit of mobility in order to get stronger armour. You see this especially with armour that's made for jousting. From the 15th century onwards, you ideally want a separate set of armour just for jousting, and it's going to be a lot thicker with a lot less mobility because all you're doing is riding in a straight line for 20 seconds. You don't really need to move or see. And a lot of what you see in museums is the tournament stuff, the really heavy stuff.
One thing I did find is that it was really hot. That's something you can't avoid. There's just nowhere for your sweat to go. It cannot evaporate. So it just stays there on the inside of your armour.
Oh,
This
meu
was the
Deus.
inside of my leg pieces after I'd only been wearing it for an hour and I didn't even feel like I'd sweated that much. And this was in February in an air-conditioned building. Can you imagine being outside in France or the Middle East on campaign? One medieval chronicler is talking about a group of French
Isso é
knights who
terrível.
are riding around in August in the countryside, and there was no one so cheerful or so accustomed to wearing armour that he was not distressed by the heat.
It's a lot harder on a cold day because because the metal stays cold, you find heating your body up harder. So actually I'd rather be out in armour on a hot day than on a cold day, me personally.
What about the gaps in your armour? If you've got gaps in your armour, like at your neck or your armpits, you can cover those up with this stuff. Technically, people at the time call it mail, but I think it's fine in casual parlance to use the modern word chainmail. Language is all about getting other people to understand you, and more people will understand you faster if you say chainmail. Like, mail can mean lots of other things, but chainmail only has one meaning. You can see what mail is, thousands of iron rings, and each one has been joined together with a little
Nossa,
rivet.
quanto tempo
You can see
devia
the dot
demorar pra
on
fazer
each
isso?
ring, one at a time, by hand. And it gives you armour that flows. It's like fabric. But it also takes ages to make, so it's expensive stuff. But if you can afford it, you'll get it, because this stuff is fantastic at stopping you getting cut. What it's rubbish at is defending you against blunt forces. If someone swings something heavy at you, because of how flexible it is, they will still break your bones. So what you do is you wear a padded jacket underneath. You always want to wear some kind of padding under your mail, because otherwise the first person who hits you is going to embed all those rings in your skin.
Caramba,
Not
muita
nice. In the
estratégia.
middle of the medieval period, like Bayeux tapestry times, a knight might be covered in this stuff head to toe with no solid plate at all. That's because most people in the year 1000 are going to have shorter, lighter swords. And if you're wearing mail, it's really hard to get cut. So what they start doing is they start making the swords bigger. So the swords get bigger, so you start wearing solid pieces of armour on top of your mail. And then the swords get bigger, so you wear more plate. And the swords get bigger, so you wear more plate. There's basically an arms race going on, until by 1400 you are covered in plate from head to toe.
Ou seja, nunca
imagine a
fica
whole
fácil
row of
pros
these guys on
soldados.
horseback charging towards you. You've got the weight of the man, the weight of their armour, and the weight of the horse combined. And there are 40 of them. They're charging towards you at top speed, and all that force is concentrated on the tips of their lances. A charge of knights is really scary. If you do it right, you can sweep a battlefield clear. But knights aren't the be-all and end-all on a medieval battlefield. The historical record shows that if you have a row of guys on foot with shields and they hold their nerve, they can win against a row of knights. Also, most battles in the medieval period aren't the kind you see in movies where two armies run at each other in a field. No, medieval battles are even more expensive to film than that. A lot of them will be sieges of a castle, in which case there isn't really anything for the knights to do until you get through the walls. Now, what the knights are is the richest guys on the battlefield. So they're the ones that go home and get monks to write books about how amazing they are. Even at the time, they hold an outsized position in the public imagination. Medieval kids play with little toy knights, just like we play with G.I. Joes. They're romantic figures in songs and epic poems. Even as they are dying out, knights take on a mystical quality that they still have today. From the very beginning, knights have always been cool. Thank you so much to the Royal Armouries in Leeds for letting me run around in one of their suits.
Gente, meu Deus, que incrível, mas ao mesmo tempo é um pouco assustador, né? Porque imagina usar isso no calor. Tipo, é uma coisa terrível. Isso sem contar o peso, né, também. Mas eu fiquei impressionada como ela conseguiu lidar com isso muito bem, assim. Ela tem boa mobilidade mesmo com isso. Eu, se fosse no meu caso, eu acho que eu não ia conseguir fazer nada, não sei. Mas eu realmente fiquei impressionada com todas as camadas, né? Não é somente as placas de ferro. Na verdade, as placas de ferro é a última coisa. Tem toda uma preparação antes e várias etapas. Isso realmente, para mim, eleva o nível de dificuldade, né? Precisa não somente um preparo físico, mas até um preparo psicológico. Imagina você ficar horas dentro disso, suando no calor. Tipo, e a questão do banheiro, como que você faz? É muita coisa que fica perguntando na minha cabeça. Eu realmente fico doida com isso. Mas muito interessante. Ao mesmo tempo me mostra o quão bem pensado era tudo isso, né? Tipo, cada milímetro, tudo muito, muito bem articulado. E também tem a questão que você precisava ter dinheiro, né? Para fazer algo sob medida. Então, os pobres aqui poderiam não se dar muito bem, né? Num caso desses. Mas bom, essa foi a minha reação. Eu espero que você tenha gostado desse vídeo. Se você gostou, considere se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. E se você já foi inscrito, não esquece de ativar as notificações. Então é isso, obrigada por assistir esse vídeo. Nos vemos na próxima reação. Tchau!